a LITA kitchen table conversation. If you're watching a recorded version of this on YouTube, I should tell you that this is about 6 minutes before the announced start time for this. So it's a bit of an equipment check, and not much is probably going to happen. So you probably want to fast forward to about 6 minutes in. I have a hunch that people are out there are able to see me sitting at my desk, but I am not seeing anyone else. I hoped this would be more of a two-way conversation. I see 6 people watching. I don't see any way to get any feedback from any of you, except that Rachel has a chat window open. Nope, I'm not hearing you, Rachel. I'm worried that this is... We picked this platform on the understanding that it could work as a two-way conversation medium, and so far it looks like it is really just me broadcasting to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm seeing a suggestion that people can type in the box under the video window. You can see if that helps. There's definitely, Google at least thinks that there is some way that you should be able to use your audio and possibly video, because it's giving me tools to mute people who are misbehaving, but now let's see. Maybe share how to activate video. Do I have to invite people to be part of this? I just invited some of you. See if that does anything. Do I have to invite people to be part of this?
Maybe. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so all the people that are at the bottom, then try inviting them. Because we're now in a normal Google Hangout.
Yeah.
I'll let people know that you're going to be inviting them.
Okay. Just invited someone. See if that does anything.
I wonder if I can invite. I do not have the power to invite, apparently.
I can invite people to be part of this.
Maybe. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so all the people that are at the bottom, then try. What is going on?
There is some strange loop happening.
We're now in a normal Google Hangout.
Yeah.
Wow. I'll let people know that you're going to be inviting them. Note to self, Thomas. We should have tried this. I wonder if I can invite. I do not. Maybe. Okay, so all the people that are at the bottom, then try. What is going on?
Somehow, Rachel, I think that's coming through your microphone, because if I mute your microphone... Meanwhile, nobody else has joined the participants. So if anyone else got an invitation, everyone who is listed as watching received an invitation. So if you can accept that invitation, we at least have a fighting chance to get a conversation among more than me and Rachel.
Hi, Cody.
Hey, Cody. Jim Tobias, I just sent you an invitation. We're hoping that that's the way to get more people involved in the conversation. Google does many things very well, but really good documentation never seems to be part of it. I'm sure they would tell you that's because everything is so completely understandable you don't need documentation. Oh, I'm seeing Cody says, I'm here but muted. You are? Hey, Cody, try it now.
Hi, Cody.
There he is.
Thing is, we need more than board members. If you haven't been able to get Brianne or Julia or Jim.
Just joined.
Hi, Brianne.
Hi. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for sticking with us and let's struggle along. Cody went mute again. Cody, am I unmuting your microphone as you mute it?
Yes.
I'll stop doing that then.
Thomas, did you have any luck inviting the other folks?
That was all of the folks that I saw.
Julia and Jim?
Julia got an invitation. I will invite Mark.
Okay. Okay.
And while we're getting set up still, I just wanted to warn you guys I'm going to have to cut out early. I do have a meeting at 3 Eastern time.
Okay.
Okay. So in 20 minutes.
No, it's only like 1:40 here, Eastern time.
I don't think we were expecting this to go longer than an hour. Max.
Yeah, I think we're only expecting an hour.
Oh, okay.
Because I think some of us have another LITA meeting.
Okay. Amy said she got the invite, but has no idea how to accept. Brian Brown, who's not listed as, well, no, he's listed as a viewer, said he's not received an invitation. Try sharing the exact URL. I tried that.
Yeah, I think that URL gets people into the area where they can view it. I'll share that again. Hold on, Brian, we'll get you an invitation here. Keep an eye on whether anyone else joins in. Well, is this? I guess.
I see Brian.
Keeping an eye on the people who are watching and putting out invitations will be just something I do throughout, I guess, and we'll debrief at some point, Rachel, and figure out how this could have worked better. But in the meantime, the purpose of these conversations is to have an informal conversation, really a two-way or multi-way communication, to talk about LITA's strategic goals, what the organization should be doing for you, should be doing for libraries. I posted earlier on a couple of URLs. They probably scrolled down the list pretty far, but there's a URL for the LITA goals for 2013 through 2015 and ALA's strategic plan for 2011 through 2015. They make interesting reading. They help you understand where they're going. But part of the conversation, I guess, is if both of those documents are due to expire in 2015, where do we want to go from here? How do we or do we worry about meshing our goals with ALA's and so on and so forth? So I'll throw that out there and I'll repost these URLs.
Thomas, am I unmuted? Thomas, I'd like to add that for the past 2 years, actually, ALA has been working on their new strategic plan beyond 2015, and they've been having kitchen table conversations. That's sort of what is the basis of us having a kitchen table conversation as we look at our strategic plan as well. So the areas that ALA is focusing on is actually not too far off from what our current goals are, which is around advocacy, information policy, and professional development of library staff workers and such. Mm-hmm. So I put the link in the chat window as well. Maybe I need to put it in this other chat window. Let me know if you can't get to that because it's in ALA Connect. And it may be, you probably have to log into ALA Connect in order to get there.
Which is one of the issues with ALA Connect is some things are open to the public, some things you have to log into, some things are only open to the people in the group, which is a good thing, but you can't really tell from the URL whether you're sharing something that's shareable. So
around LITA's goals of collaboration and networking, education and sharing of expertise, advocacy, and then infrastructure. For those of you who are present and in the audience there, what do you think about those? Would you like to see those expanded? Are those areas that you think LITA should be focusing on primarily right now? Do you have thoughts about what we're currently doing, what you've seen in LITA, what you would like to see us do? What does a successful LITA look like to you? So if you just have some thoughts and want to share, and maybe that can help start the conversation.
Let me add one sort of administrative detail. This Google Hangouts on air get recorded and stored in YouTube, so there will be a recording of this, and I don't know that that will affect what anybody feels comfortable saying or not, but you should know that that's out there.
You can just unmute your mic to chat.
Well, I guess everyone is talked out.
Or it could be that they're reading, since we didn't put it out there ahead of time. Well, Brianne, I'm going to pick on you since I know you. You've been involved in LITA for a while. You're involved in a lot of interest groups and have created your own interest group. You're on committees. You've been on nominations committee. You've been involved. In regards to the goals of collaboration, networking, education, sharing, advocacy, and infrastructure, which of these kind of speaks to you based on your experiences? What do you think LITA maybe is doing well, or could maybe focus on in the future?
Well, since you asked me personally, personally, networking to me is one of the most important things that I've gotten out of LITA, and I also do think we could improve on in some ways. I don't think new ALA members and new LITA members necessarily realize how easy it is to get involved and join committees and interest groups and become a leader within LITA. The only reason I found out how easy it was is because I was an emerging leader, and the midwinter I attended, I happened to attend the LITA, is it LITA 201 it happens at midwinter?
Yeah.
And I found out how easy it was to actually create an interest group, and I actually created it then and there, and at the social afterwards. So just getting that involved that quickly was a really neat experience for me.
Now, Brian, you're a brand new LITA member. Yes, I'm picking on you now. How did you first get involved with LITA?
It was through Brianna Marshall. She was telling me that it was a great opportunity for networking with other LITA members and things like that, but I'm also interested in a lot of the advocacy issues.
Such as?
I know that recently net neutrality was one that I'm not sure whether it was LITA or ALA was really pushing, but I know that I use resources from one of the two in a conversation I had recently to talk about the roles of libraries in net neutrality and things like that. So issues like that you can start a conversation with.
And some topics like that we need to row in the same direction as ALA, but we both need to be rowing. It would kind of, I think it would be a mistake for ALA to go forward with a net neutrality policy that wasn't informed by LITA people. So I think that's one where both organizations work, if not hand in hand, at least in parallel. Do other topics come up as really needing advocacy on our part?
I would say that since I'm personally really interested in open source software, and I think that that's something that there's maybe a lot of fear and uncertainty and doubt going around the library community. So just because that's kind of the field that I work in, I see that the most. So I would be interested in advocacy on that kind of thing, about how libraries can incorporate open source projects into what they're doing.
So you sort of feel that LITA has a role in sort of helping people adjust and inform and become more aware and get more engaged in those areas?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
What do people think about the education and sharing of expertise goal? What can we be doing that we aren't currently doing?
I'll interject on this one if you guys don't mind. I personally feel like the lifelong learning and education is a really important aspect of what LITA could offer its members, particularly with webinars and just different topics that librarians may need to know more information about, and they don't necessarily have a good, easy way to learn about these things, especially with LITA and the great advancement in technology and how we're using all these different technologies and different tools. It's hard to keep up with, even as a new librarian, and I think LITA could really excel in this area. That's my opinion.
Thanks. There are a couple people that joined earlier, and I sent invitations to who haven't been able to join the chat, so I'm going to resend invitations to you, and apologies if that's just more than you want.
Amy and Cody, I'm going to ask you a question specifically. Since you're both on the board, one of the LITA goals is about infrastructure, improving LITA's organizational capacity to serve, educate, and create community for its members. Do you feel that there are certain things that the board could be doing better for its LITA members, and then how would the LITA members also get engaged and involved in that in order to help support that direction?
Well, I'll take a shot at that. I know Amy's relatively new to the board, so and I've been on for, I don't know, a decade or two at this point. I think one thing that the board can do is step it up. I don't think. I was having a conversation with another board member about this. I think that our membership and you know, you, Rachel, and you, Thomas, and you know, my fellow board members, I think we can ask more of the board than we do. I think that the conversation I was having with another board member was about, you know, the what we expected to be the workload of a LITA board member as compared to what we found was sort of the norm, and we were both a little surprised to feel like, oh, okay, you know, well, I show up, you know, I give my 2 cents, you know, and this sounds, I recognize this sounds sort of crabby or critical. To be clear, I recognize that I'm part of the problem here, you know. But I think that there's a lot more that the board can do. I think, you know, if you look at what a board member of a nonprofit or something like that would be expected to do, and would expect to give in terms of time and energy. I don't think we've asked that much of the board, and I think we can, and maybe you should. I think that I'll admit too that in the past year, year and a half or so, it seems like there's some new energy in the board, and I'm really pleased about that. I think that it's really easy for us to disengage between conferences when we're face to face. I think that's true of, it's probably true of members too. And finding a way to really effectively think of ourselves as a virtual first board and organization, that we, those of us who are obligated / able to attend conferences in person, don't let that distort our view of what other members' participation in the association is. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cody, I absolutely agree with that. We've been talking online about the fact that we are not doing as much virtually as we could be. So I think we lack a sense of community because we are not having that regular contact. We're still very focused on the face-to-face, whether it's forum or conference, annual or midwinter, and I think we could do more to create the infrastructure to build that virtual community so that you don't have to wait for January or June in order to reconnect with other LITA people. I mean, yes, the listserv is great and it's heavily used, but I think it's pretty old tech, and well, I think we should keep it. I think if we could build some sort of, LITA base camp for everybody, not the product, just the concept, I think that would be a big way to go towards building that community and really showing people that there's something worth being a part of.
With Brianne and Brian, what are your thoughts about understanding what kind of at the higher level LITA is doing and communication coming from the board, or the direction that the board is trying to go in based on information they receive from the membership? And do you feel that you have a sense of, like Amy was just saying, there's a lack of sense of community, at least within the board at times. Do you feel that at all within the rest of LITA? And do you have a connection with the board at all, or just a sense of the direction that we're going in?
I'd say that there's a lot of good information on the LITA website. That's a good starting place, and since I'm so new, that's that, and hanging out on the ALA Connect boards have been really helpful too. But I think there's only so much you can get from static information, whereas I think that things like this, face-to-face contact through the video chats and things, just where it's direct interaction, I think that that's super helpful too, to where I can actually ask a question that's not already written into the page. So I think that open meetings like this are a really good idea. I'm definitely on board with that.
Okay. Do you have thoughts, Brian?
Sure. I agree with everything that Brian just said. And although I do use the LITA website sometimes and find a lot of it to be very helpful, I have found times where it's led me to broken links or outdated information. And as LITA, we really need to make sure we're giving the correct information online to people and not having outdated information on there. So I think that's one area that could possibly be improved. And other than this, I really haven't felt like I've been in great contact with the board, just besides general email communications or things that are posted on ALA Connect or the website, just because it's hard to keep up with it all. And I think this is great that you guys are doing this to begin with, but I think that maybe offering more virtual meetings is a good option because not everyone can make it to the ALA conferences due to budgets and other reasons. So it might be helpful to have more things like this available.
Once we get the sort of technical glitches ironed out, would it be worthwhile just to have a standing meeting like this where people can sort of check in and converse with, if not president and vice president, every time at least a few board members to sort of bounce ideas off some of the LITA leadership?
Yeah, I think this is a great idea, and it's a really neat way to find out what's going on with LITA and getting updated rather than just having an email that we may or may not have time to read.
Right. Let me circle back to a couple of comments about the website. I'm glad to hear that. I think Brian and Brianne, you both said that you found good stuff on the website. In terms of using the website, how does it compare to other organizations you might belong to?
I think that's kind of hard for me to answer since this is the first professional organization I've ever been a part of. But I would say that I was expecting maybe something like a wiki or something where people could go in and just like a living body of information that people could go in and edit that's, you know, maybe a jumping in page for new members or something like that would be really helpful. But as it stands, there's already a lot of pretty good information that gives people a starting point on the site as it is.
To add on to that, I think ALA Connect is kind of supposed to be the wiki or blog of the group where we can throw things up there and edit things, and I like that we have ALA Connect, but I've heard other people say, and I tend to agree with it, ALA Connect can be a little clunky at times to use, and so in terms of other organizations within ALA, I think our website is on par with theirs, if not a little better in some ways. But with any large organization, it can be a little overwhelming to try and keep everything updated and make sure all the information is accurate.
And I'm sorry if I threw that question out. I'm sorry if it sounded like I was fishing for one particular answer or anything. It's always interesting to know how somebody else interacts with a website that you use. I have to say that when I look at our infrastructure goal of improving our organizational capacity to serve, educate, and create, the first thing that comes to my mind is that we could really spruce up the website. And I don't know if this needs to be another website or not, but I don't think the website does a terribly good job of articulating to the world who we are, and our sort of premier event, the LITA Forum, it really doesn't articulate that at all. So I've had conversations with a couple of people, and I wonder whether within the current sort of governance of the website as part of ALA.org, whether there's ways that we can really make it more of a LITA attraction. Okay, so I managed to kill conversation entirely there.
Well, I was going to say something, but it looked like Brian was about to say something. No? What I was going to say is, in my own institution, I'm doing a competitive analysis right now across other like peer and aspirational websites, kind of looking at the interaction design, the information architecture and such of other sites. And it would be, I think, doing something like that, like Brian, I know you just got appointed, well, I appointed you to the web coordinating committee. I think there could be assessment done looking at other association websites and kind of looking at the web trends, making it responsive, things like that, in looking at our LITA website as well as the forum website. Not that I'm telling you what to do, but those are maybe some things that could be helpful in similar sized institutions or associations, or associations that are also technology focused. I just look at other conference sites of, well, IT conferences, and it's like engaging and cutting edge, and ours is not.
I would also say that I found it to be kind of a weird disconnect that, at least from my kind of poking around the site, that the LITA blog doesn't seem like there's a direct connection between the LITA site and the LITA blog. And the blog is used to, I guess, publish a lot of the board member and committee meeting information and things like that, and outgoing information about things that happen, you know, in real time. And the main site just seems very static, like there's no new information on it. So maybe folding those together in some way would be a good direction to move in.
I want to come back to the whole conversation about the face-to-face. It seems like even with these goals of collaboration, education, advocacy, and infrastructure, and all the different things we're talking about, I like what Amy said with, you know, we should be first a virtual organization, but at the same time, I think it's so crucial that we keep that human element. And I'm wondering if you guys have ideas on how we could go about that, besides doing something like this. Mark, you're free to speak up as well.
Rachel, do you mean the human element virtually or face-to-face, or both?
Well, it could be both. I mean, I think if we're meeting face-to-face, we can do that human element pretty well because we're face-to-face. The challenge is, how do we engage with our membership, engage with one another and collaborate and educate one another and be advocates virtually, and not have it cold and static information? You know, how do we keep it engaging and add that human touch and put a face behind all this information we're putting out there?
Well, and I think part of it might be the platforms that we're using, based on what I'm hearing from others. I know we have certain requirements for being part of the ALA web presence, and probably that traditional web presence lends itself really well to things like the LITA manual, committee, you know, the basic committee information, things like that. But maybe we need to be doing something different from Connect, where that sort of when it comes to the things that aren't the business of running the organization.
I know there was discussion at one point about changing the name and, by extension, the focus of litablog.org to something like litanews.org. And now that we've got some really good writers contributing to it, I don't know what sort of rules we're under in terms of what has to be on the ALA.org site, but certainly a site that is more under our control is, you know, it has advantages to how we present our information.
Does LITA have a YouTube channel by any chance?
I believe so.
Mm.
I'm going to go look now.
Because I was thinking that is something that I've seen some other associations have, is like little walkthroughs or demos, or like a person giving a video of a summary of like what they plan to do for the future, or a trailer for an upcoming event, and that would be a way to meld that, you know, personal with the virtual a little bit, but in a way that people don't have to stop what they're doing to go to a video chat. They could just watch it at any time.
For those who don't know, LITA is the name of a professional wrestler, and There are a lot of her videos on YouTube.
I shared the link. That's where we put like the Top Tech Trends, which is a program that we usually record. The audio for our board meetings, which is usually really long and not as interesting, and often sometimes there's no video. But like the president programs are there. But again, it's sort of after the fact. A lot of it is live streamed, but then that thing kind of lives there and there's no engagement.
And it looks like a lot of it has been posted by Hugh Womack, who I don't think will be doing it anymore. So that probably suggests we don't actually have a channel.
We sort of do. I put the link on the side, Thomas. Oh, we also have a Vimeo space, according to Mark. But I think you have a good point, Brian, is that we have these videos, or we have audio, or we have, I think we even have a Flickr account. It would be nice to kind of bring in those images into the site to show, hey, this is what our LITA members are taking pictures of. Whatever. I think those are good ideas.
And I did notice that new videos aren't added that frequently in the YouTube account, so it might be nice if there could be stuff between the conferences being added. I don't know what you would want to add videos on, but that might make people watch them more if there are more frequent updates.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Okay, the Education Committee is focused on doing a lot of webinars and educational classes, and those are things that are typically charge. So I'm wondering, do you see a lot of value in also maybe, like, for example, the Mobile Interest Group did a webinar the other day, or the other month, on responsive design, and it was, I don't know if they recorded it, but it was a webinar that they did. It was just the interest group. Now, I don't know if they had opportunity to record the video, but that would be something that could go on the YouTube channel. Or if LITA dedicated our education committee to have paid as well as free educational opportunities. I don't know.
And it might be nice to have something like, I don't know, a monthly update from a board member or something along those lines too, just so if people do want to if they're visual learners, for example, if they want just a quick update on what LITA's doing between the conferences or where things are at, what things to look forward to in the future, you know, something along those lines might be nice too, and that would help give more updates as well.
Okay.
There might even be an opportunity to just, if there were a featured video space on the site, even feature videos our members are making, if they're of general, interest to the membership, in the vein of giving people ideas of things to do at their libraries.
There could be, quite a lot of people who have we're doing something interesting with tech that, they don't really want to write a long paper or a LITA guide or something like that, but they might want to put together a 6-minute video on it. And if that could be featured on our homepage, that becomes an easier place to locate it than somewhere in YouTube.
Yeah, and I think having a lot of videos like that would also give people who are outside of LITA a better idea of what LITA is about and what kind of topics that they're discussing, when they might not want to go dig through blog posts or committee minutes or something like that. They would probably be down with watching a 5-minute YouTube video, and that might drive up membership as well.
Yeah, membership is a big area that we're sort of focused on, or at least I'm focused on, because our membership has gone down, and we've been working with the Membership Development Committee to really kind of, they're working on a report and recommendations for basically what can we do to engage the membership, improve the member experience, recruit more, where else could we recruit, things like that. So that is important. Okay. So if all these things that we've been talking about in regards to, a lot of it is about the website, and I apologize, I manage a web department, so I'm definitely kind of always interested in that area. But a lot of this is what we've been talking about, is about kind of making the website and some of the resources more engaging for members. Do you feel that this needs to be one of LITA's goals for the coming years? Or do you feel that it kind of fits underneath these broad 4 goals that are already listed?
Well, I think it could fall under infrastructure, but I do think since we've talked about it so much and it's such a key part of showing what LITA is about to everyone else, non-members and to members alike, maybe it should have its own area to make sure it's a focus in the future.
What would you call that?
Presence?
That's a good one. Web presence, online presence, whatever.
That could be a good sort of umbrella term or umbrella concept for sort of increased virtualization with if we want to have regular meetings like this, but maybe ramping up to a larger scale, that becomes another way where we improve our organizational capacity to serve, educate, and create, because we're just in touch with more of the members.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that lends itself to a sustainability concept. Being able to grow and expand and support membership activities even if they're not directly related to the business of the organization.
Okay. We have about 13 minutes left. Do anyone have any questions for us, for me, or for Thomas, for Amy?
If you have questions for me, I will probably ask Rachel.
I'll throw something out there.
Sure.
Since I am the chair of 2 interest groups right now, I kind of created my own wiki for them because I didn't know where to put all the information I wanted to share with people. In the future, if you are looking at the website and things, would there be a way to post that type of information and maybe have a separate page for each interest group where we could regularly update it and add resources to it in an easy way for the non-techie people in the group? Because I know some coding, but not a lot of coding, so I don't know if there's a way that the interest groups or committees could maybe have a way to add material to the web as well.
A long time ago, well, like 7 or more years ago, the LITA used to actually have a wiki. And when ALA Connect came out, there was the issue of people not knowing where to put stuff. And it made it really hard for the users, the members, to figure out where to go. to find things, and maybe somebody's wiki, I don't know, it just didn't work very well, and the decision was actually made, I believe, by the board to shut down the wiki, to remove the really important stuff and put it into ALA Connect. So interest groups have their own space in ALA Connect. I don't know how that gets communicated to the interest group chairs, if it's communicated at the interest group chair meetings that we have. But you do have a space, and you can upload things, and anybody can log in and edit if they're, they can edit if they're an ALA member. But I know that sometimes interest groups have members that don't belong to ALA, so that can be a challenge.
But people could post stuff in Connect and make it publicly viewable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing with Connect, I mean, once upon a time, even before the wiki that Rachel is talking about, a lot of people were doing something like you're describing, Brianna. I remember, like, back in the mid-'90s, I had a website at the University of Washington, and I put up stuff for whatever interest group I was in there, because it was the only place where I could put it up. Well, you can guess how long that survived. And people were doing that all over the place, and then you'd find that the chair of a group had changed and was no longer at the same institution and stuff. So I think the decision ultimately was having it all in one place is desirable, and Connect is that one place.
So there is, I shared a link, it's the interest group's sort of homepage on the LITA website, and that's where very, very basic information, and I do think that there needs to be someone to kind of review this and add more information, because if you're a new LITA member, you don't know that you could go to the ALA Connect to get more information about some of these places or some of these groups. It's very, very vague. So maybe it's a matter of beefing it up on the website, a little bit of information, and then also just providing hyperlinks to the Connect spaces.
It also sounds like, and I'm not sure if we already have this, but maybe it needs to be more prominent, sort of the top 10 things every new IG or committee chair needs to know. Like, oh, by the way, you have a Connect space for your group. And in addition to presenting that kind of stuff at chairs meetings.
Yeah, that would help. We tend to forget that at every one of those meetings for chairs of committees and chairs of IGs, there's a substantial number of people who are doing it all for the first time, or doing it all for the first time in a long time. And it definitely needs to be something where you can just say, here's a handout with a bullet list of things you need to know as a chair.
Yeah. David Lee King is the current interest group chair coordinator, and I have a meeting with him as well as Lauren Presley, who is the committee chair coordinator. I have a meeting with both of them coming up either later this month or early next month, and I can pass along a lot of these ideas. They've been creating documentation, and there is some documentation about what they're supposed to do in regards to, well, there's documentation for the interest group and committee chairs. There's not as much documentation about what they're supposed to do in their roles, but we'll be having a conversation about this, and I'll definitely pass a lot of this information on. So does anybody have any other questions?
Are you going to come back in October for the next kitchen table conversation?
Okay.
Well, we have to, right? Now that we have the tech worked out.
Yeah.
We'll do some more homework on how this is supposed to work, because it can't be something where you have to manually invite people.
I'll say that I'm part of a group that does Google Hangouts as a video chat every week, and the way that we do it is we just someone starts the Google Hangout, and then they copy and paste the URL in their browser of where they're at, and they email it to the other members of the group, and then they all just go right in. There's no inviting directly. So, and once you get the kinks worked out, Google Hangouts is actually pretty cool for doing stuff like this.
Yeah, Rachel and I are part of a weekly meeting that uses Google Hangouts that way. I went for Hangouts on air because it could handle more people if we got more people. I think just normal Google Hangouts is like maxes out at 8 or something, and let's see, I think we had 9 people at least listening in, and they didn't all accept the invitation. So I don't know if we were bumping up against the limit there or not. Maybe Hangouts is not the platform to use, and some of us have conferencing systems available to us through our institutions. We can explore that.
Yeah. We could brainstorm with Mark. I don't know if you guys know, Mark is a LITA staff member. He's also a past LITA president, so he has lots of knowledge and experience about LITA, and so he's very valuable to us. And in a public library and not able to talk. Well, I think I haven't really talked with Thomas yet about what we're going to be doing next, but what I might do is get with Thomas and we can maybe write up some of these notes and then share that on the blog to let people know what they missed and maybe encourage more discussion that way. But we do have another one planned in October, and then we're going to be doing one at the LITA Forum. Are any of you coming to the LITA Forum? I know you are, Thomas. Mark, I know you'll be there.
I'm proud of myself for being organized enough to have my hotel reservation and flight taken care of and conference registration.
Right.
I'm usually so chaotic about that.
Okay.
Rachel and I are having discussions about whether people will be required to have green chili stew when they come to dinner with us.
Yeah, I can't handle green chili stew.
It's Albuquerque. I think you get that for breakfast.
Oh. Okay. Well, if there's no more questions, I want to thank everybody for coming out today and joining us. I think we got a lot of really good information about sort of what's important to you, what you think is important to the membership, some things we're doing well, some things where we need improvement. Again, I think this is good information, and I'll be sure to share it with the board. And Thomas and I will share it with Cindy Blyberg, who is the past president. So, do you have anything else to say, Thomas?
No, thank you all for taking the time to join us, and especially for sticking with us as we kind of learned our way around Google Hangouts today. I really appreciate it, and the purpose of this is to have a conversation with the members, and it's no point in doing that if members don't show up to share the conversation. So, thanks.
Yes, thank you. You guys have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye. I will end the call.